Welcome to supernatural British Columbia's northern provincial parks. From the thundering surf of the Pacific Ocean to the hot springs of the Liard Plain, from the wild backcountry of the Northwest to the soaring Rocky Mountains, British Columbia's north offers spectacular scenery second to none. BC's park system embraces many of this province's natural treasures, protected for the enjoyment of all. The highest mountains, the longest beaches, the most immense waterfalls, along with abundant wildlife, are all found in our provincial parks. Many are easily accessible. Some require little work to get to, while others offer backcountry isolation that beckons the most adventurous. There is truly something for everyone. Bowron Lake Provincial Park is a canoeist's paradise in the Caribou Mountains of British Columbia's central interior. Located 144 kilometers southeast of Prince George, the park is near the tiny community of Wells and Barkerville. Access is via Highway 97 to Quesnel, then east for 90 kilometers along Highway 26, and finally north for 29 kilometers to the park entrance. The canoeing season lasts from early June through mid-October, but even in summer, visitors may encounter rain and cold temperatures. For those who enjoy the rich colors of autumn, September is the best time to visit. With over 121,000 hectares of breathtaking scenery, Bowron Lake Provincial Park is famous for a 116-kilometer interlocking system of lakes, portages, and waterways that make up a world-class canoe and kayaking circuit. The park has two distinct landscape regions. The western portion is part of the Quesnel-Shuswap Highlands, distinguished by wetlands and gently mountainous terrain. In the eastern section, the peaks of the Caribou Mountains form a magnificent backdrop for this unspoiled wilderness. Many species of waterfowl are found in the park, along with the industrious beaver and the bald eagle. Larger species include moose, often seen feeding along the marshy sections of the waterway, and caribou that roam the higher elevations. The Bowron Lake canoe circuit can be completed by almost anyone with the right equipment, basic canoeing experience, and good physical condition. Visitors must check in at the registration center and pay a fee. The trip can take up to 7 days, and most visitors allow 10 days in case of bad weather. BC Parks provides rustic campsites, bear caches for safely storing food, and some shelters along the route. But this is a wilderness park, and visitors must be well equipped, self-sufficient, and prepared for all the challenges of wilderness travel. Established in 1913, Mount Robson Provincial Park is the second oldest in British Columbia. Located in the Rocky Mountains just west of Jasper National Park and the BC-Alberta border, Mount Robson is near the towns of Tejon-Cache and Valemont, 300 kilometers east of Prince George. Highway 16, the Yellowhead route, makes Mount Robson easily accessible all year round. But the recommended time to enjoy all this magnificent park has to offer is from May through September. Mountains this size make their own weather, and even in summer, conditions can be rainy and cool. The dominant feature in Mount Robson Provincial Park is the towering mountain for which this 220,000-hectare park is named. Soaring to almost 4,000 meters, Mount Robson is the highest peak in the Canadian Rockies. No wonder it's often called the monarch of the Canadian Rockies. Part of the North Continental Range landscape, this area is distinguished by wide valleys, picturesque lakes, and jagged mountain peaks. In 1991, Mount Robson Provincial Park became part of the Canadian Rocky Mountain Park's World Heritage Site. The mighty Fraser River begins its 1,200-kilometer journey to the Pacific Ocean within this park, and Rearguard Falls marks the furthest migration of salmon returning from the ocean to spawn. Along with spectacular scenery, wildlife is abundant, and visitors often see elk or moose browsing next to the highway, or even a black bear at the forest edge. The essence of Mount Robson Provincial Park is found in its backcountry, which offers hiking, mountain climbing, and sightseeing second to none. Along the 22-kilometer Berg Lake Trail, hikers pass by picturesque glacier-fed lakes and through the legendary Valley of 1,000 Falls. There are cooking shelters along the route, but backpacking stoves are mandatory. In this remote area, visitors must be well equipped and prepared for extreme weather conditions. Berg Lake takes its name from the pieces of ice that are often seen falling off the Berg Glacier, one of the few advancing glaciers in the Rocky Mountains. Horseback riding offers an alternative to hiking, and local outfitters can provide horses, provisions, and a guided trip through the spectacular mountain scenery. There's also lots to see and do right along the highway. The Parks Visitor Center provides information about Robson and the rest of BC's provincial parks, and interpretive programs are offered throughout the summer months. Vehicle access campgrounds are conveniently located, and nearby commercial facilities offer food, gas, and lodging. Short walks off the highway lead to scenic viewpoints, and visitors can slip a canoe into Moose Lake for an evening of wildlife viewing in the nearby marshes. Those who appreciate nature's beauty will find that Mount Robson Provincial Park in British Columbia's Rocky Mountains truly has something for everyone. Near the British Columbia-Alberta border, northeast of Mount Robson Provincial Park, is a remote wilderness known as Kakwa Provincial Recreation Area. Located along the continental divide of the Rocky Mountains, Kakwa can only be accessed on foot, by aircraft, or on horseback. The nearest community is the town of McBride, 215 kilometers east of Prince George on Highway 16. Weather conditions here can be extreme. Even during the short summer season from July through September, visitors must be prepared for cold, wet weather. But for those who enjoy backcountry travel, Kakwa has much to offer. Covering 128,000 hectares in the Rocky Mountains, Kakwa Provincial Recreation Area is representative of the North Continental Range landscape, typified by picturesque glaciated peaks with elevations up to 3,200 meters. The scenery is unparalleled with crystal clear mountain lakes and rugged glaciers. This recreation area is prime wildlife habitat, where you're liable to see moose, mountain goat, elk, and deer. Grizzly and black bear make it important for visitors to be aware of backcountry ethics to ensure a safe trip. Backcountry travel in Kakwa Recreation Area through alpine meadows, past breathtaking glaciers, and beside ice blue lakes is an unparalleled experience. Several lakes dot the area, and fishing for rainbow trout and Dolly Varden is good during the summer months. Hunting is permitted during specified seasons, but non-BC residents must be accompanied by a licensed guide. This is an extremely isolated area with varying weather conditions. Visitors must be well prepared, completely self-sufficient, and knowledgeable about wilderness travel and survival. There are no facilities here. Heckia Provincial Recreation Area off British Columbia's central coast is a spectacular island archipelago unsurpassed for marine recreation. 115 kilometers southwest of Bella Coola and 45 kilometers south of Bella Bella, Heckia is made up of a number of islands, including parts of Hunter and Calvert Islands. It's accessible by boat via the Inside Passage route or by ferry to Bella Bella and then south by boat or kayak. Many visitors fly in to stay at one of the floating sport fishing lodges that operate along the south side of Heckia Pass. Due to the marine influence, the weather here is mild year-round, but most choose the summer to visit. Heckia Provincial Recreation Area encompasses 123,000 hectares, representative of the North Coast lowlands landscape with gently rolling hills that rarely exceed 1,000 meters in elevation. Many boaters traveling the Inside Passage stop in Pruth Bay, one of the best anchorages along the British Columbia coast. Nearby are beautiful white sand beaches with magnificent ocean vistas. Unique sandbars called tombolas connect rocks and smaller islands, and offshore shoals, reefs, and kelp beds provide superb scuba and skin diving. As well, Heckia Pass is famous for major salmon runs that attract anglers from all over the world. Marine mammals and birds are plentiful. Seals and sea lions are often seen basking on the rocks, while bald eagles perch overhead in towering evergreens. By far the most popular activity in Heckia Provincial Recreation Area is sport fishing. Visitors arrive from all over the world to try their luck at hooking the huge Chinook salmon that migrate through these waters. The islands are also popular camping destinations for seagoing kayakers and boaters who stop to enjoy the tranquil beaches. To ensure the area is well managed and maintained, BC Parks rangers patrol these waters, But this is a marine wilderness, and there are no facilities of any kind. Boaters who are well prepared and experienced in wilderness travel will find that Heckia Provincial Recreation Area is a wonderful outdoor adventure. In the far northwest corner of British Columbia, bordered by Alaska to the west and the Yukon immediately north, Atlin Provincial Park is a rugged wilderness of glistening ice fields, glacier-fed aquamarine lakes, and towering mountains. The park is reached by turning south off the Alaska Highway at Jake's Corner, 65 kilometers south of Whitehorse. From there, an all-weather road, Highway 7, leads to the town of Atlin near the park's boundary. Access to the park is by air or water only, and visitors will find all the necessary provisions and fuel available right in the town site. Float plane, helicopter, and boat charters are also available here. In this part of British Columbia, the summer season only lasts from July to September. But this far north, the days are long and the nights have very little darkness. The boundary of Atlin Provincial Park is south of the town of Atlin on beautiful Atlin Lake. And with over 271,000 hectares, this wilderness park is a boater's paradise. Famous for its aquamarine color, glacier-fed Atlin Lake is the largest natural lake in British Columbia. This area is representative of two diverse landscapes. In the west, the Tagish-Tahltan Highlands feature rugged mountains and major valleys that lead to the coast. The eastern section of the park is part of the Stikine-Yukon Plateau, with rolling hills and low, wide valleys. By far the most impressive feature of Atlin Provincial Park is the huge Llewellyn Glacier, which along with the Wilson Glacier makes up 1/3 of the park's area. Part of the massive Juneau ice field, the Llewellyn Glacier has been drawing tourists to Atlin since the early 1900s. Near the south end of the lake, Teresa Island, rising more than 2,000 meters above lake level, is said to be the largest inland island in the world. The park is home to many species of wildlife, including caribou, sheep, moose, bear, and a large population of mountain goats. Travel in Atlin Provincial Park is mainly by boat or aircraft. One method becoming increasingly popular is by houseboat. Available for rent in the town of Atlin, houseboats provide a practical way to visit the wilderness while providing some of the comforts of home. The park provides excellent fishing. Anglers can fly into numerous lakes to fish for huge lake trout, and Dolly Varden can be caught near the mouths of many streams in Atlin Lake. The huge Llewellyn Glacier can occasionally be glimpsed from the lake, and a trail from the south end of Llewellyn Inlet leads to a viewpoint. Camping is permitted on Atlin's beaches, and visitors use no-trace camping techniques, removing all signs of their visit to ensure for the next camper the same unspoiled wilderness experience. On Graham Island in British Columbia's Queen Charlotte Islands, there's a unique, enchanting wilderness called Naikoon Provincial Park. Isolated from the mainland by Heckia Strait, the Queen Charlotte Archipelago comprises more than 150 islands off the west coast of British Columbia. Visitors reach these islands by scheduled airline or ferry from Prince Rupert, or by air direct from Vancouver. The park itself can be accessed near the park headquarters at the tiny community of Tillel, off the highway at Mare Lake, and just east of the town of Masset at the north end of Graham Island. The Queen Charlotte Islands are often called the Misty Isles, referring to the frequent fog and overcast skies. October through January are the wettest months, but temperatures are mild year-round, and during the summer, the weather can be sunny and warm. Naikoon Provincial Park is one of the most significant maritime parks in Canada. The park is 72,000 hectares with nearly 100 kilometers of the longest and best white sand beaches on the west coast of Canada. This area is representative of the Queen Charlotte lowlands landscape. Its important features include extensive sand dune formations which support thriving colonies of dune grasses and plants. The interior wetland of the park features low-lying sphagnum-covered bogs with stunted trees, unique plants, and numerous lakes and ponds. At the northeast tip of Graham Island, an unusual land formation gives the park its name, Naikoon. It's a Haida word meaning long nose. The long nose is a serpentine deposition of sand that extends far out into the turbulent waters of Dixon Entrance and Heckia Strait. On the North Beach, Toe Hill rises 100 meters above the Argonaut Plain and provides magnificent ocean vistas. Estuaries, sand spits, and offshore bars provide excellent habitat for many wildlife species. Visitors can watch gray whales migrating to Alaska and bald eagles, far too numerous to count. BC Parks provides two campgrounds in Naikoon Provincial Park. One is located near Toe Hill on the North Beach and the other at Misty Meadows near the park headquarters. The broad expanses of the North Beach offer many recreation opportunities. Mountain bikes are a common form of travel here, and the beaches are excellent for cycling at low tide. Short trails lead to Toe Hill and interesting rock formations, and there's even an old shipwreck, the Pasuta. For a look at some of Naikoon's special features, a 3-day wilderness hiking trip along the Cape Fife Trail takes visitors through the forested interior up to Rose Spit and back to Toe Hill. And there's a 4- to 6-day trip that takes hikers 90 kilometers from Tillel to Toe Hill along Naikoon's East Beach and some of the finest marine wilderness on Canada's west coast. In northwest British Columbia, Spatsizi Plateau Wilderness Provincial Park is one of Canada's largest and most significant wilderness areas. The nearest community is Dease Lake, 325 kilometers north of Smithers on Highway 37. For road access condition, visitors should check with BC Parks in Dease Lake. In the park itself, no vehicle travel is permitted, and visitors must fly in, hike, travel by horseback, or canoe in via the Spatsizi River. Winters here are long and cold, and even in summer the temperature rarely rises above 20 degrees Celsius. The best time to visit is from July through September, when the lakes are ice-free. With an area of more than 600,000 hectares, Spatsizi Plateau Wilderness Park is a magnificent experience. Part of the Spatsizi uplands landscape, the northeast area features wide valleys and rolling hills. In the southwest, the Eagle Nest Mountains are the dominant feature, with peaks rising to 2,500 meters. The Spatsizi River flows through the middle of the park and meets the mighty Stikine, which eventually empties into the Pacific Ocean in Alaska. This area offers outstanding examples of alpine terrain, which supports large populations of wildlife. The Gladys Lake Ecological Reserve has been established to protect and study stone sheep and mountain goats. During the fall mating season, caribou by the hundreds can be seen throughout the park. For experienced outdoor enthusiasts, Spatsizi Plateau Wilderness Park provides unparalleled adventure. Facilities are very limited, but at Coldfish Lake there are rustic cabins built in the 1950s by big game guide outfitter Tommy Walker. Park users must be completely self-sufficient and aware of the hazards of wilderness travel. Hiking routes usually follow game trails and are often rough and unmarked. Spatsizi's rivers are unpredictable and should only be traveled by experienced wilderness canoeists. The many lakes and rivers in the park provide excellent fishing for rainbow trout, Arctic grayling, and Dolly Varden. Hunting is permitted during specified seasons, and licensed commercial guide outfitters are available to take visitors into the high alpine by horseback. With jagged mountain peaks, cold blue lakes, rolling alpine meadows, and abundant wildlife, Spatsizi Plateau Wilderness Provincial Park is truly an outdoor paradise. In west central British Columbia, Tweedsmuir Provincial Park is the province's largest, covering an area of nearly 1 million hectares. Because of its huge size, this magnificent wilderness is usually thought of as being not one, but two parks, each with its own distinct features. South Tweedsmuir is reached by Highway 20, 360 kilometers west of Williams Lake. The route passes through the park on its way to the coastal town of Bella Coola. But to really appreciate this unspoiled wilderness, visitors must get off the beaten path. Most people hike into the park using well-established trails. Travel by horseback is popular in the Rainbow Mountain Range, and guide outfitters operate in the area. Nearby towns also provide float plane charters, and park users can fly into many of Tweedsmuir's lakes. Weather conditions vary widely throughout the park, and even in July, freezing temperatures can occur at higher elevations. Late May through October is generally considered the best time to visit. The southern area of Tweedsmuir Provincial Park encompasses 506,000 hectares and includes incredibly diverse landscapes. The western part lies in the Coast Mountain Range with lofty jagged peaks and steep valleys. The Rainbow Mountain Range is a hiker's paradise with multicolored volcanic peaks, subalpine meadows, and spacious valleys. This land is rich in history. It was a major trading route for native people traveling inland from the coast, and hikers can still follow the trail Alexander Mackenzie took in 1793 to end his remarkable journey near what is now Bella Coola. Lonesome Lake in the Atnarco Valley was home to BC pioneer Ralph Edwards and his family, who wrote of their adventures carving a homestead out of this wilderness. Numerous lakes dot the South Tweedsmuir landscape, and the Turner Lake chain high above the Atnarco Valley is a popular destination. At the north end of Turner Lake, Hunlin Falls plunges over sheer rock into the Atnarco River nearly 300 meters below, one of the highest waterfalls in Canada. This area is also rich in wildlife, and visitors are likely to see caribou, deer, and bear, among other species, in the course of their travels through this magnificent wilderness. South Tweedsmuir Provincial Park has many outstanding recreation opportunities. For anyone just passing through, there are 2 vehicle campgrounds beside the highway. Hikers will find rustic cabins and canoe rentals at Hunlin Wilderness Camp on the Turner Lake chain. Anglers will find excellent fishing for dolly varden, cutthroat, and rainbow trout. Visitors traveling in the back country of this beautiful park must be prepared, as facilities are very limited. But for those with a sense of adventure, for those who truly love the outdoors, South Tweedsmuir is a special place indeed. Tweedsmuir Provincial Park in west central British Columbia is the province's largest, covering an area of nearly 1 million hectares. Because of its huge size, this magnificent wilderness is usually thought of as being not 1 but 2 parks, each with its own very distinct features. North Tweedsmuir is principally a water access park that invites boaters in search of adventure in a pristine wilderness setting. The best time to visit is from June through October. Access to the park is via Highway 16 to Vanderhoof, Burns Lake, or Houston, then south to Andrews Bay or Wisteria Provincial Parks on Utsa Lake. Visitors arrive at the park boundary by traveling through the Nachaco Reservoir to a rail portage at Chickaman Bay. Here, a unique system carries boats up to 7 meters in length over a 350-meter strip of land separating Whitesail and Utsuk Lakes. Utsuk Lake can also be accessed by float plane, and charters are available from many locations nearby. At 80 kilometers long, this lake is the centerpiece for travel through this beautiful wilderness park. With nearly 300,000 hectares of unspoiled wilderness, North Tweedsmuir Provincial Park offers an endless variety of scenic beauty. The Nachaco Plateau landscape, represented in the northeast section, is a gently rolling terrain dotted with lakes. The Quanchus mountain range, though heavily glaciated, provides wide-open alpine areas and important wildlife habitat. The most outstanding feature of the park is Utsuk Lake, which provides access to an endless variety of scenery, from hanging glaciers to racing rivers and tumbling waterfalls, from the beautiful white sand beaches of Sand Cabin Bay to marshy wetlands teeming with waterfowl. North Tweedsmuir Provincial Park is an isolated area with very few facilities. Wilderness campsites are available near the park headquarters at Chickaman Bay and at Sand Cabin Bay, as well as various other locations on Utsuk Lake. Naturally, one of the big attractions here is sport fishing, and Utsuk provides excellent angling for rainbow trout, mountain whitefish, and kokanee. 2 guiding camps in the area offer lodging, boats, and fishing charters to guests who usually arrive by float plane. A number of trails lead from Utsuk Lake into the high country, and during the fall, certain parts of the park are open for hunting. Anyone planning a trip into North Tweedsmuir must be prepared for wilderness travel, have plenty of fuel, and be self-sufficient. For outdoor enthusiasts in search of a unique wilderness boating experience, North Tweedsmuir Provincial Park has it all. High in British Columbia's northern Rocky Mountains, Stone Mountain Provincial Park and Walkpash Provincial Recreation Area offer incredible wilderness adventure. Stone Mountain Park is 150 kilometers west of Fort Nelson on the Alaska Highway. Adjacent Walkpash can't be reached by road, so visitors must hike, travel on horseback, or fly into this remote area. Most visitors to this part of BC prefer to travel during the warmer months between May and October. Stone Mountain Provincial Park and Walkpash Provincial Recreation Area together cover over 64,000 hectares of breathtaking wilderness. This northern Rocky Mountain landscape features jagged, glaciated mountain peaks and wide U-shaped valleys. The highest point on the route is Summit Lake, where the Alaska Highway intersects Stone Mountain Park. Nearby is picturesque Flower Springs Lake with its crystal clear waters framed by alpine meadows. This area also offers outstanding wildlife viewing, and visitors will often see caribou grazing in the high alpine and almost certainly see stone sheep right by the roadside. The more rugged Walkpash is famous for its 30-meter erosion pillars called hoodoos, said to be the finest formation of their kind in British Columbia. Among other features, there's the Forlorn Gorge, a miniature Grand Canyon 25 meters wide and over 150 meters deep, and a series of stepped lakes that provide spectacular scenery for all who travel into Walkpash's wild backcountry. Stone Mountain Provincial Park and Walkpash Provincial Recreation Area offer much in the way of outdoor recreation. There is a small vehicle access campground at Summit Lake, but to really experience the essence of this magnificent wilderness, you must venture into the backcountry. A short day hike from Summit Lake takes visitors to the pristine alpine meadows and crystal clear waters of Flower Springs Lake. For experienced wilderness travelers, a more challenging overnight trip has its own rewards. The hoodoos, which line the Walkpash Gorge for 5 kilometers. With glacier-fed ice blue lakes surrounded by mountain peaks, the high country is a photographer's paradise. Stone Mountain Provincial Park and Walkpash Provincial Recreation Area provide outstanding outdoor recreation with some of the finest wilderness British Columbia has to offer. There is a magical place on the Alaska Highway that has lured visitors since prehistoric times. Liard River Hot Springs Provincial Park. Northwest of Fort Nelson, Liard Hot Springs is located at kilometer 800 on this famous highway. With a constant water temperature of 40 degrees Celsius, the hot springs are open the year round, although most visitors prefer to visit in the warmer months between June and September. Liard River Hot Springs Provincial Park consists of 670 hectares. Part of the Liard Plain landscape, a flat rolling plateau covered in boreal forest. Considered to be the second most significant hot springs in Canada, the constant 40 degrees Celsius water temperature has created a unique ecosystem which supports varieties of plants rarely found this far north. An isolated species of lake chub has adapted to these hot springs and can be seen by the hundreds. Wildlife are also drawn to this park, including many species of waterfowl, and it's not uncommon to see a moose browsing through the warm waters. Liard River Hot Springs offers over 50 vehicle access campsites, as well as picnic areas and many of the other amenities usually found in BC's provincial parks. Visitors can explore this remarkable environment with its unique flora and fauna using a system of boardwalks that have been constructed throughout the park. And at the end of a long day's journey along the Alaska Highway, there's nothing better than slipping into the soothing waters of the hot pools and soaking the miles away in this truly unique part of British Columbia. Tucked away in the northern Rocky Mountains on the world-famous Alaska Highway, Muncho Lake Provincial Park beckons travelers to stop and rest a while. Located at kilometer 681 on the highway, Muncho is 250 kilometers west of Fort Nelson. As one might expect this far north, the winters here are long and cold, but the summer sunshine transforms the area and shows off its special features. 88,000 hectares in area, Muncho Lake Provincial Park is in the Muskwa Range, part of the northern Rocky Mountains landscape. Folded Mountain, with its complex twisting layers of sedimentary rock, is a striking example of the mighty forces of nature that formed this part of the continent eons ago. In the wide U-shaped valleys, huge alluvial fans have been created where tiny streams become raging torrents during spring runoff. In the middle of the park, 12-kilometer-long Muncho Lake gives the park its name. Taken from a native word meaning big lake, Muncho is among the largest lakes in the Rocky Mountains. Muncho Lake Provincial Park has vehicle access campgrounds at 2 locations just off the Alaska Highway. Anglers can try their luck for Arctic grayling, or even go after one of the elusive char that live in the deep waters. Wildlife viewing is particularly good here, and stone sheep are often seen grazing by the side of the highway. With its jade green waters, spectacular scenery, and easy access, Muncho Lake Provincial Park is more than just a stop on the Alaska Highway. It's a superb outdoor destination.